Yeah, g'day YouTube and everyone. So I'm going to do a quick one on what the laws of reversal are, because I have a lot of questions always about the law of reversal. So outside of the matrix on the chessboard, when you're looking back at the matrix, you can see the instructions and how the actual matrix is constructed. And it's made of different programs, and we call them stereotypes, we call them everything trends, we call them companies, we call them society programming, right? Which is all to teach us that inside of the matrix that we have to use our conscious mind. Everything is from the conscious mind. And because we use the conscious and we don't actually use the subconscious for fuck all and shit except for receiving subliminal messages, which aren't really subliminal anyway, because the consciousness of one directs humanity all the time, and anything inside of the actual consciousness itself is just a message and a reprogramming of the code by consciousness itself. So the law of duality, for example, like I explained about the Illuminati are in the matrix looking bad. And outside the matrix, all they are is a player on the chessboard, and they're no different to our electromagnetic signature light beams of what we are. But because they are playing player two inside the game, because we didn't even have any idea of this, and we had amnesia basically as spirit, that we always thought the Illuminati are the evil, and what they're doing is trying to create a new world order that's trying to do global depopulation, poison us, GMO, etc., etc., etc. List goes on to Agenda 21, to Rex 84, to Project Garden Plot, everything like that. We go all the way back to the Project for the New American Century, okay? But in reality, when you go outside the board, you can realize that what's going on is that we are so brainwashed as civilization, and we as Team One, the objective was for us to be fucking brainwashed. We wanted to have a game where we could enter and we had no idea of what's going on, and we just thought that ourselves were the only physical, and that's it, and that's the only thing that was real. And perhaps we might have had something inside of us from a book that was saying that we may have a spirit, or other people that have brought back past teachings saying that we may have a spirit. But in reality, what it is to awaken, to understand that everything is nothing but spirit. And on the outside, you can see this. When you look back you can look at the construct of the matrix, and the matrix is made of nothing but electromagnetic frequencies of energy that give the polygon shaping to the matter. And then the actual matter is created into that form, and then it's not really anything whatsoever, and then it receives vibrational frequencies over the top of it, which then changes the texture overlay, and the conscious mind allows it to trick that, sees it, that's an actual visual, and on top of that you have the human senses and the spiritual avatar energy fields and the human endocrine energy fields that allow you to actually experience it as physical, when in reality nothing is physical. So when you learn that nothing is physical, you already understand that when it's a game structure and nothing is physical, then there is no death, there is no life, there is no kill, there is no murder, there is no steal. All of these things are created inside of the matrix by the physical. And the physical, according to what is on the outside, and you understand the laws of duality, everything has to have duality, just like it does inside the matrix for duality law. It is the same outside. Just like we come from heaven, pure. We needed a hell, which is the negative. Earth happened to be our fucking negative of what we wanted to have from our duality of what we were in heaven. And every single thing goes down to the duality lesson. So even though the Illuminati want to fucking use the all-seeing eye and the crosses and everything that they've actually taken from religious teachings and that from the past, and then used it for their own indoctrination by putting stereotype and evil stereotype around it all, to basically keep man away from ever looking at it, because, hey, who wants to go look at evil shit? And this keeps us to not find the truth, while they actually use God, and they blatantly use it all the time, and because of the law of duality, they have to blatantly show it in front of us while they do it, otherwise it is not the law of duality. Everything in creation works with duality. So when you understand that everything works in duality, you have to look at inside the matrix and say, well, okay, now I understand the law, so what's going on? You've got teaching, which is indoctrination. You've got fucking a round earth that's really just a fucking flat fucking disk or flat fucking game level, basically whichever you want to do for that. You've got fucking no want to do for that. You've got fucking no space. You've got all these things that told you that were supposed to be that aren't. And this is the duality lessons. Just like all creation from the positive and negative electromagnetic consciousness energy, everything has to be seen at with duality. So, for example, you're looking at the human avatar is physical and mortal. So then you have to say the human anatomy, the spiritual anatomy is ethereal and immortal. So you can understand all of the creation from everything when you understand the laws of duality. The laws of duality is exactly why the Bible was created, like I said before, is because it teaches you there's one book that has talkings of different frequencies of the energy of the one consciousness, but man has misinterpreted it to be different deities and different factions of the one consciousness that have been deemed just to turn into their own deity, basically because their own ego couldn't let them understand of why does God do such bad things to good people. And the reason is because God is duality. God likes to be a prick and God likes to love us. It's just how it is. It's the reason why people have the same kind of mentalities and stuff like that come from God. Like you have the man, which is the masculine that likes to just fucking joke around, swear at his mates, just fuck around, play around, have fun. And then you have the woman, which is the loving, the caring, and the nurturer. So you're looking at exactly the same being represented inside the matrix just through the singularities of the consciousness itself as what the laws of duality are in the whole construct of the whole thing. But this is the law of duality. So when you say, well, what can I see? Well, when you stand on the chessboard and you can see everything looking back, every single thing inside of here is created in duality. Just like all of the fucking, every single thing over the past years has now changed to duality, all fucking crazily, right down to the actual understanding of there is two dimensions that we were once in, one, and now we're in another, is duality once again. But the whole lesson of it, like I've taught plenty of times before, is to understand that even though there is duality, even though there is Trinity, even which is like a duality with another duality inside of it, which equals the Trinity, is just showing you one thing. It's all showing you that at the end of the day, that fucking every single thing equals one. And that's the whole message of everything. The Illuminati are nothing but players on the outside of electromagnetic consciousness itself, and it is needed as a program inside right now. So we can look at the bad guys, we can wonder what the bad guys are doing, we can study about the bad guys, which all conspiracy researchers fucking do at one stage, learn about fucking Albert Pike, Adam Weishaupt, the Procyon, all of that shit, right? And then the families way back in the day, David Icke, fucking Alex Jones, all of this shit gets fucking taught to you so you can learn all of this shit. And what does it teach you? It teaches you that what you thought was fake. And all it is a lesson by consciousness to slowly drive you with hints to the end games, like real big hint, and understanding that everything that you see is fake. And that's all it is. It's just a lesson by consciousness to figure out what's going to be the frequencies of energy that are going to move into the next collective of energy and be that dominant energy of creating that reality. So I hope you understand what I mean. It's like basically it's the leveling up of the singularities of consciousness that are brought to the understanding of trying to see that a physical reality is nothing but an illusion, and then understanding it, and then going back to what they really are, and then they go right back to being nothing but electromagnetic, self-aware consciousness energy. So, cheers. Hey, you go on YouTube and everyone out there. So I'm going to do a quick rant on just basically an explanation of what space really is and how it's got out of context throughout history, and biblical allegory and everything like that has been changed to make it into a meaning that doesn't possibly exist and can't possibly exist because it just isn't there. So we know through the Mandela effect, anyone out there knows that space doesn't exist and everything's just a vibrational frequency of consciousness energy, right? So if we look at going back to the ancients, we'll look at how they actually interpreted space. So they believed that there was something that they could get to. So what it really is that when you get into your Son of God body, which is your spirit, you leave your body and you actually do fly. So that is the space that they always say that they could get to. That we can go to space. We can never ever get to the firmament, out of the firmament. That's just decorated patterns of consciousness, basically, that we manifested because we wanted to believe that something was above, so that we could match the below. You know, that's what God created. So, but with the astronauts and all that shit, yeah, well, I think everyone out there's already got the understanding. It's done in the buoyancy lab, and everything's just fucking fake, and they have fucking bubbles and snorkels in space. So I don't even think I have to explain anything about space with that. But the interpretation of space is when you get into your God body, you leave your body, and when you become a divine knowing, you are floating in space. So you enter space. That is the understanding of us in the physical reality of having a thing called space. Just like I explained about the DMT and drugs, how drugs are a program inside of the matrix to actually give you the understanding of learning how to release the DMT naturally by getting in contact with your Son of God and using your spiritual anatomy to get in contact with God. And that's what it's all about. So space is just another reference to the same thing that's put into the construct by the consciousness of one, and it has been blown out of proportion, just like Christ being an actual man. That's going to return when the actual Christ is what we can all actually become by understanding we are a son of God and using the Christ to receive the Christ energy to talk to God as one and be the son of God that you're supposed to be. Everything inside of the physical matrix, like I said before, is of Satan. There's nothing inside the physical matrix that is not of Satan. And when I say Satan, I only use this as reference for the negative side of the one consciousness, because in indoctrination, understanding, in the education of biblical allegory, and plus life itself, you've known Satan as a name to reference the bad. But in general, it's just a reference to back in the ancients when they couldn't understand why does God do such bad things to good people, and they couldn't understand the duality laws, or it's not they couldn't, they wouldn't understand the duality laws. So what they did is they split it apart, and the main reason they split it apart is because they created a book, the Son of Man, which is the physical, which is Satan, created a book that led you to God but give you a false belief in God. Like I taught you before, the Antichrist and the Christ and all that, and the other one is just in reverse outside of the matrix to what it is in the matrix. So each religion has always pointed through to learning how to open these 7 seals and open your Christ eye to get in contact to the one consciousness of God, because all this references inside the matrix that we're getting now, like I said, superheroes, fucking powers, heroes awakening, Westworld, which is actually talking about consciousness and consciousness going into a game, and Avatar on the outside, which is mind-blowing since the Mandela effect for that kind of thing to pop up. But this is all the references of everything that I'm trying to say. And then you got, like I said, the space. Space does not exist. Yes, the Earth is flat. Deal with it. You just want to fucking imagine it flat? Well, let's imagine it flat. If you want to imagine it round, the people out there that don't want to believe it's fucking flat, well, guess what? You can be right too in your own mind. You can think it's fucking round as far as we're concerned. Who cares, eh? At the end of the day, there's bigger problems on the fucking matrix, in the matrix, than fucking caring about what kind of fucking shape it is. Oh, but I must add, the people that believe it's a ball Earth now have to believe that it's a pear, because Degrassi did tell you the Earth is more of a pearoid shape, so if you're believing it's a ball, you've now got to believe it's a pear, unless you refuse to believe what the people that told you it was a ball has now changed to a pear is. So that's where I'll leave that at that. There's no astronauts. Astronauts are fake. It's just an illusion. Everything is put there to teach you as a lesson. And in life, what you do, you become curious. And you wonder, as you start learning puzzles and learning stuff like this, and you become a truther. And you start realising shit is fucking backwards. Hey, that shouldn't be like that. Why are they like that? Oh, secret societies, what the fuck is that? But look at a secret society. Do a secret society be secret? Fuck no. They blatantly fucking show you the eye of God and say it's theirs when they're lying and going, look at this, look at this. We're showing you God and we're fucking hiding it at the same time. That's why they show you consciousness all the fucking time, because the law of duality says they have to call themselves a secret society, but they can't be secret. And they want to steal God and hide it, but the law of duality says they can't hide it. So you have all of these things inside of the matrix now that are pointing always to what the fuck is going on in the matrix. This is just a giant puzzle. And the puzzle is one thing. It is consciousness as the entire collective of the entire everything, relaying messages through synchronicities, deja vu, just everything that you see that changes inside of the physical is consciousness energy that manifests the entire, trying to relay a message that you are searching, you are searching, you are searching, you are searching. And what are we searching for, people? Are we searching for who's on the world doing this in the world? Or are we searching for why we are here and what this actual thing is all about? Perhaps the reason why we're searching for it is because we were never ever told what the existence of humanity is. And this is why our natural ability of our singularity of consciousness wants to understand that. And this is what we search for, and we have found it. The reason it is to understand that this is a physical manifestation that doesn't exist, but us as sons of God got grounded from our sons of God body and then believed that we were sons of man. So to understand that nothing exists is to be the son of God again, and then you can understand that everything in the physical doesn't exist. It's only you that make it grounded, that actually makes it believe that it's physical. Thanks. G'day YouTube and everyone out there. So I haven't done a video for a while, so what's up to my brothers and sisters, and go fuck yourself to you whining fucking trolls. Alright, so I started to break down different areas of the consciousness. So I'll start with how the actual communication of consciousness is made with the human and the spiritual anatomy, right? So what it is that we ourselves as humans have energy fields around us, which is our singularity, which creates not just us, but it creates a physical reality around us. And the spiritual anatomy, or the kundalini and the chakra points, are the energy vortexes that produce the understandings of what we call emotions. So the different frequencies of energies manifest into the consciousness through your actual spiritual avatar, which then your thought initiative program, which is the consciousness programming of the collective, overwhelming result of how many singularities can put it into the collective to change the physical reality of the desired outcome, is how reality is actually made through the consciousness. So that's what we are ourselves. Each of us have a invisible electromagnetic connection, like a cable cord, but it's invisible from the outside realm, where we are the pure source of the electromagnetic beings, or we call it heaven, or whatever you want. And we have our cable running through to us inside here, which is the giant brain. And from the giant brain, then a tether is tethered to each of us, so each player outside can jump in and experience their own avatar. But in reality, the giant brain, consciousness, electromagnetic energy, is all created by us from the outside. That is why you have to get in contact with your inner self. Alright, so that's the understanding of what the consciousness is, right? So consciousness is everything. You are part of consciousness, I'm part of consciousness. The one is everything. Everything that you can think of in existence and out of existence in quantum reality is consciousness. And sorry. So you have That is the actual understanding of what consciousness is. Consciousness directs everything in the physical. Nothing was ever made in the physical without consciousness's design. So every single thing that you see inside of this matrix hologram vibrational patterns is nothing but hints from consciousness. So you have to open your eyes and be aware of what is the greatest trends at the moment, what is the main information inside of the matrix that is trying to be programmed to you. And at the moment you have the Mandela effect and everything like that, which has proven that there is parallel realities and that quantum reality is in existence. And the whole meaning behind it is consciousness is trying to reawaken us up once again to that we are infinite, eternal electromagnetic beings of pure love on the outside. But this was our game realm that we needed to come into and create into a game structure design. But because we are so filled with no sin, love, pure divinity of unconditional divine love when we're on the outside, we come into here and we didn't lose that. Hey, we can't do what we want in here because out there we're used to always just loving. So we can't experience any other kind of emotional frequency of energy or feeling or experience outside of that. So we created this for us to come in and to experience what we couldn't on the outside ever. But the problem is, as we come into at the beginning of it, we actually did understand that we were playing a game. We used to have the red and the blue teams fight each other. We used to have the gladiator rings. We used to have, basically, the ancients knew that they were logging in and they were coming to play a game. They wanted to have the experience of whatever experience they wanted, whether they wanted to be a spectator on the game or whatever. But then they knew that they'd log out. But over time, we actually forgot our consciousness energy, actually started to blank ourselves. So we have a reminiscence of it, like you have the reincarnation ideology and everything like that that's still into modern day society that indicates that we had the pre-knowledge of what I'm saying, but we lost it as each time that we went and left the world and we go into the next game or next reality. We'd actually be blanked as consciousness. So we would start off when we're little, we'd come into the world when about 3 weeks into the avatars that's being created in the womb, and we would remember everything. But by the time that the programming and everything and the DNA and everything of what this reality was at the time has indoctrinated you to get rid of everything that you understood before you popped out, then the only thing you understood when you come out really is that you're here to have fun. And then you forgot that you're an electromagnetic spiritual being and who you really are at the whole grasp of the beginning of reality, not what you are when you went into the reality. And this is what consciousness over time had done to itself. Now, to myself, I believe that it was a test. I believe that it was time to try to wake everyone up to see and come to the conclusion of what consciousness wants is people to break through to the understanding of what they see with their own visual eyes is not real, and what they feel is not real. Because what is the greatest test? To understand that everything that you're experiencing is not really there. That is the hardest grasp of the whole understanding of this consciousness matrix that there is. And the fact that now consciousness itself has started to talk to us and actually communicate through synchronicities all the time. The Mandela effect is nothing but a blatant move by consciousness to try to make the children of or the sons of God remember that we are nothing but eternal existence, and we shouldn't worry about our physical avatar because all sons of God are forgiven for all eternal sins, and we are all sons of God, which is that electromagnetic light energy. There's a good reference that someone said, like I was saying, the afterlife, and in the afterlife, actually, what it is there's pearly gates and there's stuff like that. There's a gold road, but the actual cycles there are day and night, at night. So as it says, like earth shall be as it is in heaven or whatever like that, they are following it down to a T. So this vibrational creation of this vibrational creation of this matrix is exactly in accordance to what it is in heaven. So all it is that we in here are running around thinking that the physical is the only existence, and that the physical is the only that can be done. But in reality, the whole lesson of being in here is to understand that nothing is physical and everything is spiritual, as everything is made from electromagnetic energy, which is basically the blueprint understanding of the shapes and the stature of what the construct will be as the polygons. And then after the vibrational frequencies like the somatics and the human resonance frequency, etc., and the endocrine system field energies and that, we actually then have that texture overlay, which is really just a trick on the eyes and the conscious mind, as the subconscious to the superconscious always know that this reality is nothing but a construct and it is fake as hell. But we, as our conscious mind, see it as nothing but physical. We walk around, we build shit, we do shit. We actually think that we got to do everything through the physical when everything can actually be done through the spiritual or the ethereal, or just manifested into the physical reality by the collective consciousness's thought initiative program as the one overriding consciousness program at the time that can manifest the physical reality in the direction of the desired. So that's what consciousness does for that. As I explained plenty of times in my chessboard game video, the whole idea of what's happening in the consciousness collective right now is all game structure. You have reptilian aliens, which I have to mention, there is no such thing as fucking extraterrestrials, they're only interdimensionals, and what the extraterrestrials are the thought initiative program of the collective manifesting it into the physical reality. You can go back to when you look back in the day, there was these metal fucking ships flying around and shit like that. So that was the collective way back in the ancient pictures, right? So they actually knew that something was happening from the outside, or there were creators that would come in, etc. like that. But they're interdimensional, as there is no outer space. There's only infinite parallel realities of Earth and the water, which water is just time and space, or whatever you want to call it, multiple parallel dimensions set to the original dimension of that alpha dimension of that Earth, and all it is basically trillions of string theories and quantum theories mixed into one, which is just quantum entanglement of the whole Earth and shit, but set into its own parallel reality. After that, what's happened now is the Mandela effect has just been moving the frequency of energy that manifests each consciousness collective into the next. So that's what that is and shit. So I hope this gives a bit more insight. I'll bring out another video sooner or later. So we have an understanding of what the consciousness is. Consciousness is God. You can look at it any way you want. You can look at it any way you want. Any deity that's ever been worshipped in the reality has always been the one consciousness. Consciousness is good and bad. There is a negative and a positive charge to all of it. So at one stage, people have to experience the negative, and you have to experience the positive. Otherwise, there just wouldn't be the whole. And this is the understanding of what reality really has to fucking come to get the grasp of. We can't keep splitting and keeping diversity between the one God. As I explained to many people, you have the Satanists and stuff like that at the moment worshipping the dark side, the negative consciousness energy, and ignoring the light side. And then you have the Christians, which are worshipping the light side and ignoring the dark side, when both needed to actually control and look at everything as the one and give it the praise and well, if they're going to praise it or whatever, because consciousness doesn't really give a fuck what we do if we praise it or whatever. I'll tell you that right now. It does want us to get in contact with it so we can understand that we are the spiritual anatomies driving around these bodies, but that's about it. As far as judgment, sin, all of this is just man's creation from inside of the matrix. There's been the Bible has been changed over and over and over again with different interpretations, which everyone knows, which all created by the three Abrahamic religions, which are all the same, but yet in reality, the Muslims are fighting the fucking Christians and everything like that, but it's just stupid because it comes from the same God. Everything is just consciousness, and there is no judgment. So everyone that says, like, you know, well, there has to be a judgment, well, that's because you believe that there has to be a judgment. In reality, what you believe through your conscious mind is what you're going to put into your subconscious, and you're going to program yourself to believe and be indoctrinated into your own system of belief system. So if you keep yourself stuck in that, you're never ever going to see outside of what really exists, because all you'll be doing is running around in the own box that you created for yourself that you can't get outside of, just because the governor, which is the basic energy between the understanding of that this is a physical matrix and it's a spiritual matrix, will jump in and try to tell you, hey, it's always a physical fucking matrix. Don't worry about the spiritual side, because the governor hates you trying to figure out that everything out there is electromagnetic frequencies of energy. And when you know, the governor will come along and say, well, guess what? You think you're outside the world. You think that you're now floating outside and you can see the world just as it always said for Christ and everything like that. Well, now you're going to have another fucking test that will be thrown in front of your face that will try to bring you back into the matrix to try to ground you again, because the energies of the physical and the spiritual fight each other constantly to keep us either brainwashed and sitting inside of the matrix game, or to be enlightened and become divine knowing and understand that we are nothing but spiritual spiritual energy beings outside on a chessboard, which we are creating, standing on with the male and the female, and creating through negative and positive energy one giant ball of consciousness above it, and through that we are using that electromagnetic energy and that self-aware energy, and we are controlling ourselves inside of this world or this game structure level design, just like as if you were playing a game like, what's the old thing that everyone should be accompanied to, like something like SimCity or Populous or something like that, where you control your own individual character, but you control every single one of the own individual characters on the whole board, and you are just playing God. That is exactly why consciousness has added that understanding into this game, just like when there's a game of life and everything like that, consciousness has been relaying for a very fucking long time that we are just in a game, and that we have to wake up and understand that it's a game, because the fact that we don't understand that it's a game has brought so many people to misery, has brought depression, has brought anxiety, has changed the world to a frequency that consciousness does not desire. And the whole reason that we have now this whole awakening system going on is because the One itself has got fed up of just seeing us run around like chickens with their heads cut off, not understanding that physical reality is not all there is, and that we have a smorgasbord selection of different desired experiences out there that consciousness itself wants us to experience once we have logged out once again. Alright, cheers brothers and sisters. I hope this helped with a bit more insight, and I'll bring some more out in the future like I said. Alright, peace.